So how is the picture going to look like going forward in 2021 or probably 2022, 2023? So for sure, and for those of you who have been following me for quite some time, the interest rates is definitely going to remain low, right? The Canadian government, what they said is they will do whatever it takes to keep the economy stable and strong, right? When the pandemic was announced mid-March, right, the first stimulus was 82 billion. So they were printing about 5 billion a week just to keep the economy propped up, to cushion the impact from the whole coronavirus situation, when there were no planes in the air, no cars on the road, so there's no oil and gas consumption, right? They were printing all of this money just to keep things up, and it wasn't enough. So in total, to date, they printed for this whole year about 343 billion, and the whole deficit was supposed to be only 21 billion this year. And they just announced this week they're going to do another 25 billion, right, in those programs. And of course, they, next year, for the next few years, it'll be, roughly about 100 billion, because to keep things going, and other countries are doing the same. So what are the consequences of that? Well, with printing all of the money, there will be unintended inflationary consequences. Food prices have went up, if you haven't noticed already, but that is due to the food shortages in some of the worlds, because the supply chains have been disrupted. And you will start to see some prices, will be going up, but it will be more it'll be more of a consequence to the next generation, probably your children or future or grandchildren generation. It will be much worse. So definitely interest rates will stay low until then. And Tiff Macklem, right, the new governor, said since June, because Stephen Poulos left June this year. So the new guy, Tiff Macklem, said if they have to, they will cut interest rate to zero and probably negative interest rate. When I read that, now it is already happening in Europe side, in some countries in Europe. I believe Germany is one. They have negative interest rates. And to actually read that from what Tiff Macklem said, the governor of Bank of Canada, that is to kind of give you some perspective on what is happening in the whole world with all central banks. So that's interest rates. The oil is about, for those of you who invested in the stock market, because it took a tank in March and it was like a V-shaped recovery, and real estate investors became stock investors, playing the stock game. And I had friends who called and they're like, Daniel, what are your thoughts on this and that about oil and etc. etc. I said, I don't invest in stocks, but I read a lot about it. I read Fortunes, Bloomberg, Forbes. I read business news and global news all over the world. And oil was a good play, and it did went back up to, it's hovering about $45 a barrel. And they're thinking about delaying the increase in output from January to another 3 months out, right? Because now we're in a second wave, and potentially can be a third wave, but we're in a second wave. Hamilton Halton is in the red zone, but for you guys in Peel and Toronto, you're in the lockdown in the 28-day period. And I heard it's pretty bad there, because by the end of the year, right? Some of the businesses, well, I think they did they did pass, to approve the money to reach out to those bars and restaurants. But if they didn't get it in time, 50% of all bars and restaurants would have been closed by the end of this year. So now the government is just focusing on help the businesses to get back to normal. Beginning of the pandemic, March, it was help the people just get the money to them, and those, all those programs, and it was just give everyone the money. People collected the 2,000, answered the 3 questions, they collected the 2,000, what I've heard, and 600,000 Canadians got to give the money back because they were not eligible for it. So a lot of things has happened this year, and what I think is for those who are getting started in real estate investing, the principle still remains the same, which I've mentioned already before. If you watch some of the YouTube videos, buy and hold really is the best way to become wealthy. It is in fact the greatest way to build wealth under this Canadian law, this tax law, where we get killed with the taxes, and I pay a lot of taxes, and property taxes as well. But investing in real estate, if it is used as a tool for retirement, to plan towards your retirement, and to grow your wealth, that it is the best way that I can think of, instead of you just trading your time for money, getting paid all the time.